we've reached bowl season, and so that means that almost every day there's almost always a game on, which is nice. It's nice this time of year. Just kind of throw something on the TV. Is it a game that you care about? No, not necessarily, but you can look up, watch a few plays, see if you're interested. And that's one of the fun things about this time of year, just from a general casual perspective. However, some teams compared to others have, some things to gain at this time of year for various reasons. Obviously, you have the college football playoff, but even outside of that, there's teams with things to gain. So, Blake, you're a fan of college football as well. Like, you keep up with this thing. I imagine in some part, it seems like you got some homies that play some ball.
I do. We had a couple people transferring out. Had my boy Cam go from UCLA to Purdue, Boilermakers. Had a friend at UCF. So, this is a time where sometimes if you don't get as much tick, you can get some tick with a lot of guys, opting out of the games, going to the draft, and without transferring and whatnot. So this is a good time. Get your family out there, watch some bowl games, go to a cool location. Also, underrated, when you go to these, you get a lot of gear. Get a lot of gear for going to these bowl games, and it's great for the school. People fly out there. But yeah, it's a great time of the year where there's always something on TV.
Yeah, sometimes you get to go to a cool place. Sometimes you go to Idaho,
Yep.
Just kind of bounces around in those ways. But with that being the case, I do have a list put together by CBS Sports of the teams outside of the college football playoff with the most to gain. But without even considering that, Blake, what teams would you think of that maybe have a lot to gain this bowl season?
Definitely not Florida State.
Well, Florida State is one of the teams that comes up on this. Why do you say definitely not? Because
I feel like they don't even want to play in this. Like, this feels almost like a slap in the face. I saw a lot of people on Reddit saying that they shouldn't even play in this game and to reject this game. Same with Georgia. It just depends on what side of the coin you're looking at, from the fan perspective, from the media perspective, from the players in the locker room, from the coaches. I don't know. Just talking about that, there's a lot of different ways to kind of go about this. What are some ones that popped up to you? Because I know a lot of people don't like bowl season just because it feels like a slap in the face, but some people, it's the best time of the year.
Hey man, these teams worked for all season for an opportunity to be able to play in this situation, and like from a pragmatic standpoint, it gives a team and a program more weeks of practice after the season is over because they are preparing for this game. So gives you an opportunity to develop your team more, and then as you mentioned, like it's an opportunity for a little bit of a vacation of sorts. An opportunity to see different places. But no, Florida State. They'll play in the Orange Bowl against their number 5, Florida State. If you don't remember, they unfortunately were left out of the college football playoff top 4. They'll face off against number 6 Georgia in the Orange Bowl. And obviously, like, look, man, you're not going to get rid of that feeling when it came to not being able to be in the college football playoff. But what if you become the first undefeated Power 5 champion to miss the college football playoff field? Like, you give yourself a little bit of opportunity to talk crazy to folks. Which it seems like Florida State already wants to be in that place, and the state of Florida in general. They had their senator Rick Scott out here, trying to lobby for the college football playoff instead of doing important things.
Yep.
But no, I think that Florida State has a lot to play for in this game, to get themselves to a place where now you have kind of the righteous indignation is even further justified. And as much as that sounds like nothing. Have you watched college football? Because like college football is one of those places where like the conversation is what it's all about.
Yeah,
it's here so that we can have these conversations on the message boards and have these kind of conversations with your rivals. And so like this, I think this is
very narrative driven.
Right. This is an opportunity to do that, especially against a Georgia team that, look, Georgia. Sometimes if they're out of like playoff contention, they can get a little lackadaisical. Right?
True.
And so you might be able to catch a Georgia team slipping in a way and have yourself a good day. So I think that Florida State does have an opportunity to do something real cool.
Yeah, Florida, I don't know, because they seem more mad that they're in than they are happy. I mean, there's a lot of teams, like you said, that this is a big time for them. But my favorite part of bowl season, outside the college football playoffs, and I've said it many times on here, is the bowl names, the bowl locations, and how creative they get. I mean, the Duke's Mayo Bowl, the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl, and then the best bowl of them all, the Pop-Tarts Bowl, December 28th.
Apparently one of the teams that has a lot to gain in this one, and from the 214, they said HBCU alums, we could care less. I think you couldn't care less is ultimately what you want to say. Hey man, shout out to Florida A&M, ultimately getting it done in the Celebration Bowl on Saturday. Was a really fun game to watch. And so they finished out what was a remarkable season, 12-1. Good job to the HBCU national champions, Florida A&M Rattlers. But North Carolina State, NC State, will face off against Kansas State in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and NC State has the opportunity to, with the chance to be just the second North Carolina Wolfpack team in program history to finish with double-digit victories, right? And so with that being the case, is like, this is one thing to remember with bowl games as well. Not everybody's playing for the national championship. There's 132 teams in college football, and sometimes some teams are just playing for an opportunity to have a little fun. Yes, shout out to, again, Florida A&M joining the, in the SWAC champions. Yeah, all that. But also, y'all realize y'all got a lot cooler when y'all joined the SWAC. Anyways,
we got two good Tolos from the 860. Florida State needs to try their best, because when Georgia destroys them,
y'all talking crazy.
It's only going to show why they didn't deserve to be in the playoffs in the first place, which is a very good point, and I agree with that.
See the banter.
And then from the 682, the best Tolo comment of the day, the Get Right Bowl. We need that. We need to have the Get Right Bowl. I don't know if there's enough of us. There's only a couple of us.
I don't got no money to sponsor no bowl, my boy.
That would be an amazing bowl game. If y'all tuned in and y'all saw the Get Right Bowl and it was just a picture of me and Reggie's face with Alec and CA and all the other people that come on, would that not be amazing?
No, because I feel bad for them boys. They play all that game, and I have no goodies to give you on the bag.
We can go
There's
to
no
Spittle.
goodie bag.
We can go to Spittle.
There is no goodie bag.
The goodie bag is like a beanie with a 105.3 The Fan and maybe some catchphrases on a t-shirt.
They will be so disappointed.
Coupons for something.
Yeah, that even the way that you said that sounded
for
very
Ben
disappointing.
Q and Boomer Jacks, we can throw that in there.
But yeah, the NC State has an opportunity to have their second double-digit win season since maybe ever at this point. And so NC State, right? Like this has an opportunity to do something that they hadn't done in a long time in school history. So that's one of those things that you have an opportunity to do something fun. Ole Miss also pops up. They have an opportunity here to do something fun. They're going to a New Year's Six Bowl. They're playing in the Peach Bowl against Penn State. And so 10-2 season, which is just the second time in 4 seasons under Lane Kiffin. Chance to make history against Penn State. This would be the winningest season in program history, which is 11 wins, if they did get this bowl game win. So again, opportunity to make program history there. Oregon State is playing in what used to be called the Sun Bowl. Well, I guess it's the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
I liked Oregon State this year too.
Fun team. And so look, it's one of 2 teams in the Pac-12, right? And so this is an opportunity to kind of prove a little something when it comes to like the uncertainty that's coming forward. So an opportunity to just kind of do a little something special. And I mean, like, against the impending kind of doom of forging your way in a uncertain college football landscape coming forward, just like, hey man, do a little something special here.
Agreed.
And shout out to SMU in Highland Park. They're playing in the Fenway Bowl against Boston College.
Not just the Fenway Bowl, the Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
There you go. And so they're playing against Boston College, who, as you remember, SMU going to the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that being the case, right, like they are going to have an opportunity to announce themselves early into the ACC, making it to a Power 5 conference, if that's still what we're calling them once all these things shift up, has been like a big thing that SMU has tried to do for a long time. So this is a very jubilant time. And to be able to walk into a conference beating up on a conference rival or a new conference rival, I think would be really cool for SMU to come through and do. Announce their presence and have an opportunity to jump into the ACC with some vigor.
Agreed.
All right, with that being the case, I kind of want to play this Chip Kelly audio. I know that it's from the weekend, but I think it resonates and it gives us an opportunity to talk a little bit about the college football landscape. This is cut number 33. This is what he feels, Chip Kelly, the head coach of UCLA, on what restructuring college football might look like
right now, whether it be realignment, NIL, transfer portal, and what would your plan maybe be to try to solve it?
I think they're all a problem, and I think we need to have a conference commissioner. I think football should be separate from the other sports. Just the fact that our school is leaving to go to the Big Ten in football, our softball team should be playing Arizona in softball. Our basketball team should be playing Arizona in basketball. But because football left, and they're saying, well, how do you do that? Well, Notre Dame's independent in football, and they're in a conference and everything else. I think we should all be independent in football. And you can have a 64-team conference that's in the Power 5, and you can have a 64-team conference in the Group of 5. And we separate it, and we play each other. You can have the West Coast teams And then every year we play 7 games against the West Coast teams, and then we play the East. So we play Syracuse, Boston College, Pitt, West Virginia, Virginia. Then the next year you play against the South while you still play your 7 teams. You can play a 7-game schedule. You can play 4 against another another division opponent, and you can always play against one Mountain West team every year so that we can still keep those rivalries going. Not that I've really thought about this. Not that I've a lot of spent of time on this. But I think if you went together collectively as a group and said there's 132 teams and we all share the same TV contract, so that the Mountain West doesn't have one and the Sun Belt doesn't have another and SEC has one and they have another, that we all go together, that's a lot of games, and there's a lot of people in the TV world that would go through it. You can sponsor each one. Instead of calling it Group of 5 and Power 5, you can call it Amazon, Nike, bid that out to things. You can do a lot of different things. But I think if we still do the same thing and take all that money, and I would do this, and I think this needs to be done, that money now needs to be shared with the student athletes, and there needs to be revenue sharing. The players should get paid, and you can get rid of NLI, and the schools should be paying the players because the players are what the product is. And the fact that they don't get paid is really the biggest travesty. Not that I've thought about it.
You know what Chip Kelly is basically advocating for that there?
Talk to me.
Treating college football like what it actually already is.
Yeah,
professional sports.
He said NLI, which is funny. NIL. Definitely.
I mean, it's the same name, likeness, image you're paying for.
I definitely think that's something that the players should be getting more, because they are the one bringing all this sponsorship, all this money into it. And
you said the sponsorship. Let's be very clear about what we're talking about. All the revenue that's coming in for college football is I mean, in some ways, tickets and jerseys, those things. All right, cool. It's television revenue. Mm-hmm. You do not have a television product without the players on the field.
Talk to me.
And so ultimately, they are using their labor to generate this product that you are selling and making money off of. And so really, what is happening here is you are doing like this is the NFL at this point, right? And so all Chip Kelly described is, hey man, make it the NFL. If you're going to make this, like you're selling TV products or you're selling the licensing rights to this to the same broadcasters that are doing the NFL already, right? You can work this, kind of coast off of that model. Create, in order, if you're trying to build your schedules, create conferences and then create divisions within those if you need to, right? To build your schedule and have a collectively bargained, television contract straight across. I don't know how viable that is and how all the stakeholders will go in, because individuals can be greedy and individual institutions can be greedy, and so I imagine you can look at some of these big programs and they'll go, why would I agree to the same amount of revenue as as maybe San Diego State if people aren't equally watching those games. However, this is an opportunity in a pure world or in a more perfect world for all of that TV revenue to work, and for these football programs to operate more like NFL teams in their instances, and not carry over all of those travel costs and all those things to the baseball team and the volleyball team and the gymnastics team. It's different, right? And so all those things, and basically what they're advocating for is for like these football programs to be a little less tied to the school themselves and just become clubs that represent the school in a way, but operate more like football teams. No,
you're 100% right. They're not in the same bracket. I mean, there's a couple teams where the other sports bring in equal revenue or more, but a lot of it, they are funded by the football team. So they should be acquainted accordingly. Like, you got to have these people in a separate entity. And I think you made a great point, Reg. Like, it is like the NFL at this point. It's the same broadcasters, same TV companies that are putting this on, that puts on the NFL. So we should just treat it like that. The transfer portal, just like the trade market at this point with all the free agency and people going around, like it's not the same as the baseball and the softball team.
And all those things have been allowed because the NCAA is just trying to stave off the inevitable, which is ultimately operating in regular fashion like this is the professionals. And ultimately, the last situation that they're trying to stave off is actually having to include the labor force in the earnings of the money. And so Chip Kelly, he said it. He said the quiet part out loud, and I think he really did point to.
He's spitting.
100%. I think that he pointed to something that is very true.
100,000.